Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Faith Lies and Confusion. I am Godless Reggie, and again, this is Faith Lies and Confusion. NJ will be with us here shortly. Today's episode is the Gutenberg Bible. Very interesting topic. I actually never heard of it before. This is another title that NJ actually brought up. How are you doing, by the way, today, NJ? I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me, NJ? Well, she'll be with us shortly. But the Gutenberg Bible is a title that NJ actually came up with. It was something, again, that I was 100% unaware of. I'm actually glad that she brought it up because it's one of the most important books in our history. So, while I'm talking about it, I'm going to bring up a little bit of information on it so I can make sure that I'm accurate as to what I'm saying. Give me one moment here. This is going to be according to Wikipedia, what I'm going to read as well. Okay. So the Bible, also known as the 42-line Bible, the Mazarin Bible, or the B42, was the earliest major book printed in Europe using mass-produced metal movable type. It marked the start of the Gutenberg Revolution and the age of printed books in the West. The book is valued and revered for its highest aesthetic and artistic qualities and its historical significance. The Gutenberg Bible is an edition of the Latin Vulgate printed in the 1450s by Johannes Gutenberg in Mainz, Holy Roman Empire, and present day Germany. Out of either 158 or 180 copies that were originally printed, 49 survived in at least sustainable portion, 21 of them in entirety. They are thought to be among the world's most valuable books, although no complete copy has been sold since 1978. In March 1455, the future Pope Pius II wrote that he had seen pages from the Gutenberg Bible displayed in Frankfurt to promote the edition. The 36-line Bible, said to be the second printed Bible, is also sometimes referred to as the Gutenberg Bible, but may be the work of another printer. Okay, I think that's interesting. And again, let me put NJ on the stage. Hey, NJ, what's up?
Hey, how's everybody doing today? And you're right. That is the most fascinating part of the whole story.
So, how did you come up with this title? Did you always know about this book, or you just stumbled into it?
Actually, no, I was whatever topic we were talking about in a live few nights ago, I forget. But anyway, this this thing about the Bible and Ethiopia and all of this stuff. So I wanted to figure out where are they getting this stuff from. So I ended up finding out about how they got their copy and how they were handwritten and yada yada yada. And then I came across, oh, they finally came up with a printing press that worked, and that's how they were able to spread it so quickly and efficiently, and
During
how
the
so many people
1400s.
were able to pick it up and turn it into something that it wasn't. You know, everybody picks one up. They just learn how to read. This is the only scripture. These are the only words to get put into a book that all match. Because until the invention of the printing press, you had grammatical errors, spelling errors. Um, some people made them more like picture books instead of word books.
I can see that.
Um, so information wasn't spreading precisely. It wasn't concise. Everybody was getting a different story from the images and the words, depending on who made their copy. And where you got your copy depended on your money at the time. How wealthy were you? Kind of like college books.
I can see that.
$300 for a math book. I ain't never, ever understood that. 4 years of college and I gotta buy a $300 math book every year. There's never a cheaper version. Never.
Right, right. I never actually took the time to think about that. Like because now that you're saying it, it seems like there's a huge gap in time, and maybe this can contribute to the dark ages as we spoke of last week, right? It seems like that correlates perfectly with this. I never thought, how the fuck did they pass this message? But to your other point, I could see before the print press was created, each book should have been expensive. Every book out there should have been thousands of dollars then, which would probably be, the equivalent of to probably hundreds of thousands now, right? So I can get that because if we're talking about handwritten, several copies. Okay, so the Bible. Do you know how fucking long it would take to write that shit?
By hand forever. It took me 2 days, 3 days, 3 days to write "I will not forge my mother's signature" 1,000 times. And that was me like not putting effort in the first day. Second day, I was like, "There's no way she's gonna make me finish this." Third day was determination. No, I'm gonna finish this today because there ain't no way I'm still doing this all week. Like, no, just get it done. And she counted them. She counted them.
Listen, I mean, if the circumstance was like, okay, so I remember when I was younger and I used to get in trouble, right? I remember staying up all night reading books and shit. I could see somebody probably writing the Bible and having a normal life. Well, you don't know because these people may have been scribes, right? So if well, clearly they were, right? If you're a scribe, well, I don't know what your life would have been like, but if that's your job, I mean, it probably could have took you a couple months.
Couple months, you a scribe, you get 3 meals a day, a blanket, wine, beer.
Damn, man, that makes it just the validity of it. I mean, there's no validity in it, but this just scrambles it just even more. There's no way that you could actually think that this book has is true. There's no way because this is okay. So whoever wrote it, right? Let's say we're talking about times when they was handwriting it, right? How do you fucking know that what they put in there? To your point, you already said it about the misspellings. That's one thing, right? And where are they referencing this from? From like, is you reading something else and then writing it down, or are you just making it up, or both?
No, there was somebody in the front of the room reading the story from wherever they had it from. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, wherever it had been transcribed from the generation before. And they're in the room and they're reading it. And you're listening and you're copying whatever it is they're saying. Did you hear it wrong? Are you rushing to keep up? Are you doodling along the side? All of these things were the things that was graded. And like, and the hope was the way you got your promotions were, um, you hand in your transcription and they can find no errors in it. You didn't your doodles aren't, showing it's bound well artistically. That's how you got your promotions. Oh, you're going to be a great scribe. We're going to send you over to we're going to recommend you for this assignment over here in this part of the land or whatever. But that's how you got your promotions. It was pretty much like today. Oh, you the best bullshitter we got. We need more good bullshitters. We're gonna move you over here to this office. Bullshit on. Enjoy yourself.
I can't. This is crazy, especially like okay, so we know that we don't know the authors of the Gospels, things like that. I don't know, the validity. I mean, not the validity. What's the right word? I don't know the author if the authorship can be verified for all the other authors, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that maybe the authorship could possibly for maybe some of them because if there's 40 something, maybe we could prove that one of these people who wrote it existed, which doesn't prove anything. But I'll just say that with this situation um, coming up, there's no validity in it. None. None whatsoever, because you have no place to reference this shit from. Can you imagine church? I mean, let's say church from 500 AD until 1410. You probably don't even got a fucking Bible in there. More than likely. You don't. You don't. So
You
who's
had to be
believing
a
this
very
shit?
wealthy parish in order to have one copy of the book in the building.
I don't see how,
Can
like,
you
okay,
imagine being the priest risking your life to get the book out of the flames when marauders and raiders come through? Like, fuck the
I
people,
probably
fuck the
would. I
building.
would.
Just, I gotta save this book. I gotta
I,
save this book.
I would. In them times, I would have. Hell yeah. I would at least thought about it. Think about it. Well, damn. You would have been like, well, it might just burn me a little bit right here. But see, this part ain't going, because this book is so valuable. So now that I know this shit, now that I know this, I wish a motherfucker would tell me that dumbass Ethiopian shit. I wish, I wish you would, especially if they black. I wish you would. There's no way that they even listen. We know from languages, right? Just based off languages, we know it didn't happen, right? But there's, even if so, there's no way that you got a book from there. Oh man, that mission would have been $1 million fucking mission. $1 million, right? To spread a word. Mm-mm. And it makes fucking sense, because if you think about it, what year did you say that this? Matter of fact, what year did I say? Let me look back. It's just like I'm having an epiphany now. Okay, 1455. Damn, slavery wasn't that long after that shit. Right after that, now they got the book. Now you
They
got
got,
Eugenius, and you kicking the Moors out too. That shit crazy.
we can read, we can write, we can wash our ass, we we can spread disinformation, we kicking people out.
We already pissed for what you done did.
So now we just gonna chase you all around the planet until we get rid of all of you. We don't want to hear about you, see you. We don't want to see your offspring do well. Uh, We just gonna keep passing this down year after year, generation after generation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go.
I bet you.
And uh,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
the only thing I was gonna finish was it just like t- taking the non-belief of religion and turning it into a new religion.
Exactly. I bet if I really look into it, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, well, they got it from the Asians, so maybe not. But I bet you when they first started having guns, this is very similar time frames. Very similar.
And they stole it from the Asians. Let's be very precise. They went there simply to steal the knowledge of fireworks, guns, explosions. They went there just for that knowledge. And there's all kinds of stupid little stories of Americans. I mean, not Americans, but those not of Asian descent taking their happy asses over there and trying to get out with the information.
That makes sense because they created fireworks. That would only make sense. I used to think growing up that fireworks were an American thing because of the Fourth of July or whatever. But that's just the way that they brainwash you and make you believe certain things are American. Everything's American. They make you say the Constitution, right? They're literally brainwashing you to think a certain way, right? It's
I
crazy.
remember, man, I changed schools and I went to one of those schools where they actually do make you say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I did it the first day because I had never done it before. I was in the third grade and had never had to do it before. And so I'm listening to the words, but I'm not repeating them because I don't know it. Like I said, I've never done it before. So after about a week of listening to this every day with my hand over my heart, not knowing the words, and I'm like, that don't sound right. That don't sound right. That don't sound
Stupid.
right.
It's stupid.
So I went in the library and looked up the Constitution and was like, what the hell is this? What the I'm only in the third grade, so I'm like 9 or 10 years old, and it's not making sense to a 9 or 10 year old. So I can't fathom how the grown ups are following these instructions. So I'm starting to ask my mom way too many questions. So she's taking me to the bookstore, and she's just buying me 5 books at a time, and coming in my room at 2 o'clock in the morning where I'm reading by a nightlight. You know how the nightlight is behind your headboard, so it's not completely dark in there, but it's not really shining.
Hmm.
So I got the book down between the headboard and the bed. So it's got good light in, and I got my pillow tucked under my chin, and I'm 2 o'clock in the morning reading this stuff like it's still not making sense. It's still not making sense. Who believes this stuff? And that's how I became the rebel that I am today, because I ain't never believed it. It ain't never made sense. And and that teacher punished me because I refused to participate in that morning ritual after about a week and a half. I wouldn't do it.
I only can be somewhat jealous, right? Even though that I look back, there was to me, there was actually no fun in doing something that you did, but it also contradicts something that my mom always told me. Read, 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 and I mean, if I would have read that and would have known that, I would have never believed either, right? So I get it. There was something I was going to tell you. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So now that I'm not a believer, the whole thing is stupid, right? What is this going to do? What is this going to do?
And then I found out that my heart ain't even there. I'm like, wait a minute, my heart ain't all this time.
But let's say it is. Let's say it's right there, right? That's still under the notion that your emotions and how you feel is in there. That's not true. That is not true. What is this going to do? This going to bring the truth out of you? Let's talk about what that organ is for. It has nothing to do with love. Why do we teach people this fucking lie? It's stupid. Like when people like, I love you with all my heart. No, you don't. Even if you do, even if it's a person that's your family, even if it's a person that you in a relationship with, that's not even fucking possible. It's illogical. Like listen, the whole everything about religion, you just sitting there just learn. Then they're like, oh, well, you know what I meant. It's an allegory. It's a figure of speech. Is it true, bitch?
That's right. It's an allegory. It's a figure of speech. That's a
Stupid.
pretty way of saying a lie. You still saying a lie with pretty words. It's still a lie.
Right. It's a fucking lie. It's a lie. It is stupid. Right. And then now I'm just sitting there thinking like Americans, they dumb as fuck. That includes me.
And then
What?
around 35, they send you to a psychologist to help you unravel all the bullshit that they done lied to you about for the first 35 years of your life. And then they send you to a psychiatrist who bills you to undo what they crammed in for the first 18 years of your life. That don't even make sense to me.
Listen, think about just what we've talked about a book. Take all the other shit out of of today's conversation, right? Back to me saying Americans are stupid. What makes a human being think that just because you put in your hand on this book and knowing what we know about it, about this press and all this shit, the unknown authors, human beings only can write. Why do people think that's gonna make a person tell them the truth? What the fuck? And if you did leverage a person to tell you the truth by putting their hand on that book, I'm trying to figure out who dumber. That is the craziest shit.
My mom said, if you're going to lie, you better learn how to do it right. So I learned to lie with a straight face, looking you dead in your eye, and never missing a heartbeat.
That shit is crazy.
I'll be right back. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I'm gonna do a little bit more reading, y'all, but it just makes the validity of all this shit just be so crazy. So I'm gonna move down. Well, actually, I'm gonna go to a different source. This source, well, no, I'll go right back. Give me one moment. Okay, so the text, the Gutenberg Bible is an edition of the Vulgate, a Latin translation of the Hebrew Bible, Old Testament, and the Greek New Testament by Saint Jerome. The text contains emendations from the Parisian Bible tradition and further divergences. Printing history. While it is unlikely that any of Gutenberg's early publications would bear his name, the initial expense of press equipment and materials and of the work to be done before the Bible was ready for sale suggests that he may have started with more lucrative texts, including several religious documents, a German poem, and some editions of Aelius Danuvius Ars Grammatica, a popular Latin grammar schoolbook. Preparation of the Bible probably began soon after 1450, and the first finished copies were available 1454 or 1455. It is not known exactly how long the Bible took to print. The first precisely datable printing in Gutenberg's 31-line indulgence, which certainly existed by 22 October 1454. Gutenberg made three significant changes during the printing process. Each sheet of paper was dampened before printing to improve ink absorption. It was then pressed onto an ink surface consisting of movable type. After each sheet was printed, the type was re-inked and the process repeated until the entire print run was completed. Once finished, the type was cleaned and redistributed into the type cases for future use. This method is a form of relief printing. After some time, sometime later, after more sheets had been printed, the number of lines per page was increased from 40 to 42, presumably to save paper. Therefore, pages 1 to 9 and pages 256 to 265, presumably the first ones printed, have 40 lines each. Page 10 has 41, and from there on, the 42 lines appear. The increase in line number was achieved by decreasing the interline spacing rather than increasing the printed area of the page. Finally, the print was increased, necessitating resetting those pages which had already been printed. The new sheets were all reset to 42 lines per page. Consecutively, there are two distinct settings in folios 1 through 32 and 129 to 158 of Volume 1 and folios 1 through 16 and 162 of Volume 2. The most reliable information about the Bible's date comes from a letter. In March 1455, the future Pope Pius II wrote that he had seen pages from the Gutenberg Bible being displayed to promote the edition in Frankfurt. It is not known how many copies were printed with with the 1455 letter citing sources for both 158 and 180 copies. Scholars today think that the explanation of surviving copies suggests that somewhere between 160 and 185 copies were printed, with about three quarters on paper and the others on vellum. So interesting. What's your take on that, NJ?
The same as it always is. Lies, 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 lies. And we're trying to find the truth. We got the truth. We're going to figure out the truth. We know the truth. But can we get the rest of the population to catch the hell on also? So we can skip to the good part. Because right now, I don't know if you've noticed, but the Caucasians out there is getting nervous. They're getting nervous. And when they're nervous, they reckless. They reckless. They reckless. And they don't always direct their nervousness in a manner that is good for people with complexions like you and I. Did I word that in a good way?
Absolutely.
All right. Because
Um,
I'm looking at the news stories and I'm seeing way way too much death and destruction for a nation that believes in this sky daddy and his son Jesus.
Right. I think that learning about this print press, basically, because that's what this is about. It's really more about the print press. Learning about this print press is an intricate part of slavery, so much so, even more than the cotton gin, literally, because this is the tool to set it up, right? If this does not happen, I would go ahead and say that slavery probably doesn't happen. Yeah, I would say chattel slavery doesn't happen. We could argue that if it wouldn't happen right then and there, years later it would have happened. We could say that, right? We could definitely say that. But without that book, um, okay, so when we're putting the slaves on the ship, right? We probably don't know to name one Adam and one Eve. We probably don't know these things, right? Without this print press, we don't have the verses to say, obey your earthly master as you would God, blah, 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 right? Uh, yeah, you don't have the missionaries, the nuns and shit, go in there first to soften people up, right? You don't know to tell these people to turn the other cheek. And I would have to say that in the same sense that I just was saying about 10 minutes ago about how there's no motherfucking way that that Bible could have came from Ethiopia to West Africa. I would have to say for that same point, if this does not happen, these people don't have this material to start brainwashing you, in my opinion.
Uh, Definitely on point. Yeah, without okay. The printing of the book gave validity to the brainwashing process. Um, the missionaries and the priests having to repeat it to you over and over and over again um, wasn't working fast enough for them. Book, you can just give it to somebody that you've taught it to, or just like what they did here in the Americas, you can give them the parts that you want repeated. Like they gave somebody the honorary of being the slave pastor. You are the pastor for the slaves. This is what we want you to iterate to them. Now remember that the pastor for the slaves was usually also a slave themselves, so they couldn't read or write either, but they had permission to carry the special book.
Right. And extra butter biscuits.
And extra butter biscuits. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did they do? They walked around all day with the special book that they had special permission to carry. And they just all day long. They just repeated what master told them from the book. Obey your master, whatever else is in that book. Because I ain't never read it. I don't know what's in there.
Right. So I'm pretty sure that's how some of them learn to read, because, well, I know it is, right? So if you tell them this, what to say, and you tell them to hold this book, and you show them where it's at, then they're gonna start realizing that's the, or the, right, and so on and so forth, right? But that comes a little bit later down the line. Uh, that's the first elite Black Americans are the priests. I mean, the preachers, the pastors, they're the first ones. So everyone would always strive to be that, because extra butter biscuits, uh, you would probably automatically become a house slave for that. Uh, if you're a man, well, you got to be a man. You got to be a man to say the
You
word.
had to be a man. Yep.
Yeah, you're a man, so you're probably getting extra sexual favors. Presumably, uh, I would. Um, and so on and so forth.
No
So
man of the church would do that. No man of the church would do that. He's out there looking for godly women, godly women. Cool.
They, they all godly women. Every last one of them. Think about it, right? Anybody that
I know
thinks,
there's some women that I find godly myself. What the heck?
and
And I'm digressing. I'm digressing. You have to excuse me. I'm going through something right now. I haven't been without a partner this long ever in my entire existence.
wait,
And And at this point, I don't know if I'm going for a record because I've already broken the record, or if I'm going for a sainthood, which I don't find any perks in whatsoever. There's no perks in sainthood, or if I'm going for just forgetting how the whole thing works so I can relearn it. I'm not sure where I'm going with it. I'm really not.
all you have to do is just make yourself available. That's all you have to do. Someone is gonna jump out and bite you. But I would think that, with that situation, that's no different. Well, it's the same situation how the Hebrew Israelites were created, right? If you look at the history of them, I've done a stream about that. It was two of the more elite slaves uh, going towards the Jim Crow era, right? The beginning parts of that were pretty much they still were slaves. They still lived on the fucking plantation, right? He manipulated it to the point because I think that at that point, a lot of people were starting to put two and two together. This ain't for me. This the masters. So now we got to remix it to this is about us. See, because if you look right here, say that they were slaves, and that's us. That's us right there, right? And all that type of shit. So it's just interesting how it just transitions to something different later on, and everybody makes their own renditions and so on and so forth.
But that's what I find the most frustrating in the conversations that we be trying to have over there in them TikTok streets. And and the individual just starts throwing stuff out there. It's like they're just fighting for any kind of win they can get, and they just throwing stuff out there randomly for like no reason. It don't make no sense, no rhyme, no reason, and it just drives me insane and frustrates me so bad because it's like, dude, you got a whole computer in your hand. It's a computer. We as human beings, to take the printing press the next step further, we came up with the internet and we made it open for everybody. It was dial up, it was slow, but it was available to anybody who could afford the equipment and the phone line. And let's admit it, the equipment and the phone line was not cheap when it came out. So that's that's
Not at
that's
all.
right. That's more well-to-do families, just exactly like with the books. Exactly like with the books. My saving grace was my parents were um, in technology fields. So as the technology came out, of course they had to bring it in the house because they had to hurry up and learn it for their jobs. That was my only saving grace as a child. Or else, guess what? I would have got to 18 like everybody else and been like, technology, what's that? I didn't learn any of that in school because we didn't. Not until what grade was that when we first started getting Windows computers? I think it was eighth grade. So we were in somewhere around 85, 86, something like that.
The first computers I seen in the '80s, um, they were green and black. The screen.
Yep. Yep. Those are the ones. Those are the ones we got in the school, the green and black screen. And you
Hmm.
had to learn how to program them with characters. Like you had to program them. You didn't just turn it on and click a few buttons and open up apps. It, everything had to be programmed. You wanted script to pop up on the screen and make a banner over top. There was script for that. You wanted if you wanted it to reference other materials and bring it in here, there was script for that. You couldn't just click, copy, paste, move, shove.
Right. This
And
came a long way.
it has, but they won't use it for its intent. Instead, they want to get online and be like, Show me how smart you are. Show me that you know how to use the technology. And it's like, dog, you're not paying me. I ain't got to show you shit.
I feel you. Man, it is so hot today. Oh my gosh. I got air conditioner in my room. It is so hot today.
Is it hot?
Hell yeah, it's hot as fuck.
I was sitting outside yesterday and it was gorgeous. I was planning on doing it again today. I done tightened up the straps and everything for my hammock.
Man, it's hot as a motherfucker. I'm gonna play a video here in a second. I hope the fan ain't too loud.
I ain't heard nothing from your end. I've been sitting here going, I hope my squeaky chair and stuff ain't driving him insane.
No, I can't hear it.
Important inventions of all time. Its development ended the hegemony.
Make a decision.
Hegemonic control of information in Europe and changed history forever. This allowed huge amounts of quickly and in mass quantities. This eventually fostered the Protestant Reformation, the Renaissance period, the Scientific Enlightenment, and the Revolution. Before there were printing presses, all writings and drawings had to be meticulously done by hand. Several different materials were used to transcribe books: clay, papyrus, wax, or parchment. Few could do this work, given the great difficulty. Manually transcribing written works was usually done by scribes, who lived and worked in monasteries. Monasteries had a special room called the scriptorium. In this place, the scribe worked in silence, totally devoted to his function. First, he would measure and trace the page layouts. Then, he would carry text from another book. During the Middle Ages, books were usually the exclusive property of monasteries, educational institutions, or extremely wealthy people. Most books were religious. In some cases, a family would be lucky enough to own a copy of the Holy Bible. The earlier technologies that allowed the invention of the printing press included papermaking, ink development, and woodcut printing. At that same time, several medieval technological products and processes reached a maturity that allowed their use for printing purposes. Woodcut printing already existed in China during the Tang Dynasty in the 7th century and continued to be the most common method in East Asia for printing books and other texts, as well as images, until the 19th century. During the 1300s to 1400s, people developed a rudimentary form of printing. They used letters or pictures cut out of wooden blocks. These blocks were dipped in ink and then used to stamp the paper. Near the end of the 1430s, a German named Johann Gutenberg was desperate to find a way to make money. Gutenberg had previously worked in a mint and realized that he could use letter blocks inside a machine. It would make the printing process faster. He would be able to reproduce a text in large numbers. Gutenberg's new invention was about to change the world. What distinguished Gutenberg's press from its predecessors was the mechanization of the transfer of ink to paper. He adapted the screw mechanism used in wine, paper, and linen presses to develop a system perfectly suited to printing. His device made it possible to create an initial assembly line production for printed text. This made it possible to mass-produce books at a much cheaper cost than contemporary methods. But the newfound ability to mass-produce books at low cost on every subject imaginable, revolutionary ideas, and invaluable ancient knowledge reached the hands of every literate European. Numbers doubled every year. Science flourished during this era. For the first time, scientists had a tool capable of recording their discoveries and studies in writing, collaborating with each other across the European continents. Gutenberg did not live long enough to witness the immense impact of his invention and died poor. His greatest achievement was the first printing of the Bible in Latin. It took 3 years to print about 200 copies, a miraculously fast achievement at a time when manuscripts were copied by hand. As literacy rates were still very low in the 1490s, residents gathered in bars or squares to listen to a paid reader. He would tell the latest printed news, which included lewd scandals or war reports. Printing technology spread rapidly throughout.
I wanted to stop it right there for a second because that correlated exactly with what the fuck I said. The 1490s, when the average person started hearing this, they was meeting up at Times Squares. Before that, they had no fucking way of passing this goddamn message, and I cannot wait until I get into another debate with any Christian. That is your ass.
And 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 when they came here to the Americas, they made New York Times Square, where you can go to get all your information needs in a one-stop shop. They got billboards, they got signs, they got street vendors, orators, theaters, and you can get all your information in one good day in New York City.
Oh man, listen, I can't wait till somebody has the nerve to even part their mouth with that Ethiopian Bible shit to me. I'm gonna be like, man, you mean the Gutenberg print first Bible? That's what you mean?
Right. And that's exactly why I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
bring it up. So the
Mm-hmm.
next time you hear it, you can be like, you know what? I got something for you today. You ain't heard this one yet. So I know you ain't got no response to it because I know
They
you ain't
don't.
heard
They don't. That is gonna completely boggle their mind. And anybody listening to it, it's gonna boggle them too. They're not gonna know that I'm dead right until days later. I'm gonna be like, listen, stop what y'all doing. Write this down. Right? Make sure you write this down. Because once you see this, man, that shit is dead. That Ethiopian, it's no way, bro. It's no way. There's no way a person took that shit from over there and came over there with that. Hey, no. Listen, it's almost hard to believe that they had it in Ethiopia. It's astonishing that you got it so early. Listen, that's the only point I'm going to give credit. Give credit to Christians. I'm going to give you that one. It is astonishing. And I do not know how you did that because Prometheus, uh, Abigarina, or whoever the fuck wrote that bitch was a writing motherfucker. He was a writing motherfucker. And then if you take into consideration all the extra books they got in that shit, man, that motherfucker must all day long. He must have had a
it.
hand like Tupac or something.
But my thing is, where was he copying the transcript from when he did that for Ethiopia? That's my thing. What transcripts was he copying? Did he go somewhere, memorize it, and come back with and write what he memorized? Because I mean, think about it. If we have savants today, we had savants then. You think that somebody couldn't hear something and completely memorize it and write it down? Because we have people who can do that. We have people today who can take one glance at a book, just every page. They just glance it. That's all they do is glance at each page, and they can tell you verbatim, per page number, what was written in the text that they just took 5 minutes to skim through.
Listen, I don't know because that's what I was saying earlier in the show. Whoever was handwriting it, right? What did you reference it from? What and to me, that's the more important part of the story, right? Because where did Prometheus or Abigarima, whoever, again, I'm gonna keep saying them names, what did you reference this from? Where did you copy this from? And there's no answer to that. There's no fucking answer to it. There's none. Like, okay, so when you was talking about a little bit ago how they'll just start throwing random things out there, they will. But see, what they're not doing is establishing the fact that everything that they're throwing out there has dead ends like a motherfucker. Every last one of them is a dead and it's quick too. Ethiopia never made it over here. The Shroud of Turin never made it over here. Tacitus Josephus they, they, they just don't add up. And then once you start showing them, like, okay, well, this doesn't add up. Oh, okay, everything I just said, you just don't want to accept the evidence. Bitch, I'm telling you that it's fucking falsifiable. The
And
fuck?
that's the other thing. Why is it every time they bring evidence and you have counterfactual evidence, they tell you you just don't understand or you just don't want to believe? No, I would love to stick my head in the sand. I want to believe. Give me something I can believe in.
That's along the lines, in my opinion, that's along the lines is like what I said earlier about, oh, with all my heart, you have to have just so much love in your heart or so much hate in your heart. That's not even possible. That's not. It's not. I cannot want to believe something or not. My brain don't work like that. I mean, I can, but it does not change what the truth is. It does not. For example, I don't want to believe my mother is no longer on earth. It does not matter. That's what it is, right? It's not that I don't believe in Jesus because I don't want to. I'm not fucking stupid. I'm not. That's the easiest way I can put it to you, right? So there's no way that I can believe in it. No different than whoever with Santa Claus. No matter what I do, I can't make you believe it. And the reason why I can't is because you're not fucking stupid on that. Other things, yes. Am I ignorant about a lot of things in life? Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
am ignorant about a whole bunch of things. The
There's
key ignorance being human beings themselves. Because for some reason, we are some complicated individuals. We bend over backwards to believe
mhm,
shit that's not real. And the shit that is real, we don't see it.
yeah.
Didn't happen. Not
Just
us.
just like it's hard for me to even be in relationships with people, especially once I start talking to them about things that I know and things that I understand, especially that last shit that I just said. It ain't possible for me to have love in my heart. And even if I do love the ground you walk on, the truth of the matter is it's conditional. It's conditional. Any woman that's ever been in love with me, it was conditional. The condition was as long as I do what you say, right? It's not my fault that I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Like, how can a person sit there and just try to devote their whole life to somebody, right? And make a positive lie claim that they don't desire somebody else? You lying. You lying. You lying. You
I
lying.
mean, one of the best jokes in a relationship is like, uh, who's my freebie? Who's that celebrity that I'm allowed to have anyway? It,
Right.
wait a minute. We said nobody else. Now you want exceptions? Well, if we doing exceptions, I don't need a celebrity. There's a dude down the street that I've been eyeing for a couple of months now. And see, now I'm in trouble in my relationship because he's like, what dude? Down what street? Where?
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you be going when you walking the dog? Wait a minute, hold up. I thought we was joking, kidding around. Wait a minute. How are we getting to
Right.
this?
Right. Right. So, like, with that shit, so I like to tell people this, okay? When men get married to you, right? What we're saying is this, in a way. All right, so I'm going to devote my life to you, and you bet not have nothing else with nobody else. And I don't want you interfering with me, cheating on the side. I'm telling you that I'm not going to do it. I'm still going to do it, right? But you bet not, because you my wife. But I'm going to still do it if I can get away with it. My whole thing is why do that? Why do that?
I
Why do
don't
that?
know. Let's ask some kids why they don't always do what their parents tell them when their parents tell them to do it. Let's ask them.
Good point. I had a conversation with somebody about that yesterday, but just a different note. I was just trying to show them that disciplining your children physically is pointless. I said I will make a small exception to the rule. Now, if you're attempting to potty train a person and they won't sit down, I can see you sit down. But after that point, it is 100% useless. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the statistics of just take the prison population, ask them, have they ever got a whooping before? I will promise you, it is in the 90 percentile. It is, right? And the reason why this came up is because I know somebody who may have went a little bit too far, and their explanation to it was is that they didn't want that whoever to end up like them, right? And that person had been in prison before. It's going back, and it does nothing. If it does do something, it's instilling fear in you. You're
Yep.
making the kid do something only because they're afraid of you. That's not respect, and that is
Nope.
not love. It's not
Nope.
that. You're beating them into something, right? And then they're like, well, you know, so on and so forth turned out okay, and this happened. I said, you're taking one situation versus a stat that I'm telling you, right? I said, and then you're saying that, he's like, well, there's some things as a kid I didn't do because, you know, this may have happened. I said, that's sometimes. And I said, that's more of all you did in that situation was just devise a way to not get caught. I said, it's not that you didn't do it, you just were smarter about how you did it. I said, now, if you're making a claim that the reason why you ain't go out here and assassinate somebody because you're scared of a whooping, okay, maybe. But I think more of it is you didn't do it because you ain't that type of person, right? And then they're like, no, I didn't do certain things because I fear my mom. I said, okay. I said, listen, say when you was about 10, 11, 12 years old, and you knew if you snuck out, you was going to get your ass whipped. Say you was sneaking out for some sex. I bet you would have did it. Then they was like, oh, well, in that case, that would have been worth the whooping. I said, that's my fucking point. That shit did not stop you from doing any fucking thing, and it did not make you a better person. You still was bad as a motherfucker. You just devised a way to get around it, as I did. I'm not gonna lie. I was bad as a motherfucker. I got whoopings. I still did whatever. So what?
I was obstinate. I won't say I was bad. I was obstinate. I was going to do what I wanted when I wanted to do it. And I would know the ramifications of what I did. Sometimes, most times, I didn't think it that far through. I really didn't. I didn't think of what happens when and if I get caught. All I thought was, can I do this right here and now? I believe I can. And then once it was complete, I would go, oh shit, I didn't did it, but now I might get caught. Ah, oh well, let's see what happens. You know.
Right. Right. We all done did it. Every kid, listen, every kid didn't disobey their parents, irregardless of whatever the punishment may have been. Right.
And
But
I came up with a I made the mistake of spanking them until I got to my daughter and I realized that spanking her ain't stopped nothing. Nothing.
nothing.
I was like, oh no, we're going to get creative with you. Not only that, she was stronger than me. You
Yeah.
ever tried to hold down a child that does not want to be beat and they are stronger than you?
I've been on the other row and it was rough when I'm laughing and everything like, man, give me this shit. Give me this shit. What you doing? What you doing? I'm already like 5. What the fuck is you doing?
Because I'll never forget the look on my mom's face when she swung that belt one day and I didn't react. I ain't jerk. I ain't scream. I ain't cry. I ain't nothing. It was like out of that scene in the movie where the dude's getting whipped and he's just got the one tear coming down. I forget the movie. But anyway, that was my first moment. I was like, I don't know, 8, 9. And she was like, oh, this don't bother you no more. Oh, okay, I got something for you. I got something for you. Man, I was like, why didn't I just go ahead and put
And
on a
cry.
show?
Right.
Right. Why didn't I just go ahead and cry? She done lost her damn mind now.
Right. Why do black parents think that just because the shit don't hurt, you disrespecting them? And then they say stupid ass shit like fix your face. Okay. Do
Right.
you want me to
Stop
fucking
crying. I'm gonna give you something to cry about. Well, I figured if I didn't cry, you was gonna stop because I ain't giving you nothing to cry about.
right bipolar ass? You want me to cry or no? What wrong with you? So it does nothing. That's what I'm saying. It does nothing, and it's just like again, now that I'm not a believer, I could see so many things. I could see so many things, and I know, and I've been saying this for over a year. Like, listen, the only reason why we believe that is acceptable behavior is because of that book. Because what we are literally talking about is in as assaulting a child to make them believe later in life that they're gonna turn out to be a good person, or when they 17, 18, 19, 20. I got my ass whooped when I was 4 or 5 years old. I can whoop your ass now and I'm still scared. That shit don't make no fucking sense. That's the stupidest shit ever. But it takes you to fucking deconstruct. Um, there's some people that are atheists that still believe that. There's some atheists that believe, I'm not gonna say his name, believe that all homosexuals should be put to death.
But what? You just gonna make more?
I don't fucking know. I don't know what this man logic is, but my thing to him is this: why you care? And number two, you're still a Christian. You're still colonized. It's still in you. You're still indoctrinated. You still have indoctrination in you, right? It's still in you. And until you let that go, 'cause I just don't see, I don't see why men got so much to say when it comes to gay men, because they never have nothing to say. Because I know he's talking about gay men. I know he is.
Right, right,
He's
right.
not
Because
talking about
they
women.
right, and that's always my point in those discussions. Like, so you only have a problem with it if it's man on man,
Just
because
like the
if
book.
it's man on trans, they're fine. If it's man on woman, they're fine. If it's woman on woman, they're fine. Matter of fact, that's their favorite porn usually. But as soon as it becomes man on man, oh, all of them gotta burn. They putting it in the books. They putting it on the television. They switching over the kids. So let me see if I got this straight. You have some younger generations in your family who have come out, or their parents allowed them to live as they see fit, and you have taken exception to that because now it's in your family. It's in your bloodline. That bloodline mentality. I don't like it, but I get it. So it always disturbs me, and I don't like having conversations with them because I automatically, when I hear that stuff, I just want to start fucking with them. For lack of a better term, I just want to start fucking with them.
I do. I do fuck with them. And what I do is I make them start thinking about what it is that they're really saying, right? Because I break it down to them. I'd be like, because they always go to the bathroom situation. That's always the topic, right? And that's a different mental aspect, and that's a different part of indoctrination in a way. I'm gonna show you. Uh, with Christianity, right? They make it seem like men are just the savior of everything. Just like it's our job to be Captain Saberho, right? How can we be women's protector when we're also the predator? There has to be a third entity in this. If I was born to be a protector of women, then I'm trying to figure out who I'm protecting her against, because clearly it's just me, right? So Christian people just have a Captain Save-A-Hole type of mentality, right? Like they just feel like it's their job to just be this honorable man and just put their life on the line and just raise their family and just be this provider and take care of these kids while she's just at home and barefoot and pregnant. I'm not doing that shit. None of it. I'm not.
And
But
I'm
that's
not being home barefoot and pregnant. What is you talking about?
it's
I was
slavery.
I was mad. I was so mad when I had twins the first time, and I found out I had to do it again because I still didn't have the girl that I wanted. let them twins that come out, one boy and one girl. Like, if I even thought about one of them might change their sex later on in life, you know what? My daughter wouldn't be here. That's all I wanted was a girl. That was it. That was it.
No,
I
nobody,
wanted to make another me.
right? Nobody really wants it. They just don't realize it until they get it. Okay, so a man, okay, he really wants this because he just wants to control a female. But then when he sits back and thinks about how hard he's working, why this motherfucker ain't doing shit, he's gonna be pissed. Now the woman, right? She just want that privilege. She just want to sit on her ass, do nothing, this, that, and the third, until she realizes that you're one of the kids too, because he's taking care of everything, right? If he say jump, not only do you gotta jump, you gotta ask how high and when you can come the fuck down. When he get home, that food better be ready, that house better be clean. You better not go outside. You bet not let him see you in anything revealing. You bet not take no picture. You bet not go with your friends. And the reason why is because he's paying the cost to be the boss. Oh, now you're controlling. Okay, he is. You're right. But you're fucking for money. So what's that make you? Right? But that's a different story. So
The
I tell him,
bull with the mostest. What you talking about? Okay.
right.
Did you bring home enough for groceries? Because then you'll have dinner on the table. But if you ain't bring home enough for groceries, don't talk to me about no damn dinner on the table. Shut the fuck up
Mm-hmm.
and go to bed hungry like everybody else
Facts.
in the house.
Facts. Because most people can't. Most men can't afford this. They can't. They can't afford this. They can't afford this. Right? They're just basing off a book. And like I said, both parties are both the man and the female in this situation. They both some fucked up individuals, and they both are illogical. Right? I'm not saying one is worse than the other. They both some stupid motherfuckers for believing this shit. Right? But let's get back to the bathroom situation. So I break that down to him, right? How they Captain Save a Hole and believe this all stupid ass shit, right? And then I still keep going to him, like, why are you trying to save somebody in a bathroom that you're not even invited to, right? Now, let's think about this logically. Okay, I have a daughter. Okay. What's more likely to happen? A heterosexual Christian man assaulting her or a gay man that don't want no pussy?
Heterosexual male assault her. I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
Guarantee. Guarantee.
And
That's what
and
I'm saying.
and not even assaulting her because he can't get none. Just assaulting her because he just woke up and felt like it that day. Just I
That's what
feel
I'm
like
saying.
being an asshole today. I
Right.
see this woman. She's aesthetically pleasing to me. My male parts have awoken. Why bother with the rigmarole of dating and trying to get in her pants? I'll just assault her.
50 shekels.
Yeah, there you
But
go. Worse to worse, I have to pay some fines. Hell. They made me marry her. Even better, I'll just spend the rest of my days torturing the hell out of her.
the Bible says so. Right.
Right.
Right. So that's one aspect, right? Now let's think about what they really want. Because this is what they're gonna say. I just feel as a Christian American man that if you're born with male parts, if you're born with both with the right chromosomes, whatever ones they are, right? That a man should go to a man's bathroom and a woman should go to a woman's bathroom.
But
Okay.
when did it become a man's bathroom and a woman's bathroom? Because if you open the door and look in, you will find out that both the bathrooms are set up almost identically.
Right. But that's one point. So you're telling me that you are also saying that this person can do whatever they want, they can dress however they want, blah 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 blah, or whatever, long as everybody goes to the bathroom more. So you're telling me that you want a 6 foot trans person next to you in a dress while you peeing. That's what you
Yep,
want?
yep, yep,
Because I'm
yep.
trying to figure out who's gonna be more uncomfortable, you or him. You or them. Sorry. I have no
Them,
disrespect. No
them.
disrespect to the LGBT community or anybody. But I'm just like, why do you want these things? I don't get the psyche of that. Except
Because God said, keep them separate.
maybe.
God said, keep them separate. And the only way we can tell the difference between the two is in the nether regions. That's the only spot we know the difference.
Right. So my thing is this. I think that the reason why it's such a problem is because these particular individuals versus I don't want to say, listen, please don't take it as disrespect because the terminology I'm not 100% sure on. But we all have had circumstances where we've had a person who appears to have been born a woman and is transitioning into a man, or a stud, or a tomboy, or something like that. We've all
Hey,
seen
boy
these,
for life. I'm
we've
sorry.
all seen these situations, right? And I'm not knocking them or judging them for their life choices. I don't care. But my thing is these men don't have a problem with them. They have a problem with the opposite side of the spectrum. So my only logical explanation is for that is because they make them feel uncomfortable, right? Now,
How
there's
so?
look, say for instance, I'm sitting here at a table and this fine ass woman just walked right past me with this big, huge, humongous butt, right? I'm attracted to her,
Hmm.
but it's also simultaneously making me feel uncomfortable, however you look at it, for different reasons, especially if it's like, overtly in my face. Like, okay, so one of the jobs I used to have, there was this girl like that, and I was her boss, right? Now, I kept it all the way professional. I didn't want to fuck with her or nothing like that because I knew I could have lost my job. But some people were complaining, and her stance was, well, "It ain't my fault that I'm shaped like this, da 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 da." And it wasn't. And I had to tell her, like, I agree with you. It's not. I said, but you are making people feel uncomfortable. And the reason why is because, all right, so she would wear certain things that if she bent a certain way, you could just see everything, right? So I had to tell her, like, I can't stop you from wearing that, right? And I'm not telling you what to wear to work. I said, because if the person was skinny or whatever and they wore the same exact thing, then nobody would be saying nothing. But for the simple fact that because when you go like this and we're bending and reaching and stuff, that your ass and shit is like that being revealed, I'm going to have to tell you, you're going to have to either wear a coat over that or don't wear that because we ain't supposed to wear leggings or jogging pants anyway, right? But since your crack is being shown and your ass is coming out, I'm going to have to say something. I said, because you are making others feel uncomfortable. And she was, including me, because I'm trying to work and I'm distracted. So, in that same sense, the reason why these men are making these complaints, oh, this, that, and the third, and they're only targeting one particular group of people, it's because they make them feel uncomfortable. Now, I don't know why they make you feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to bet because you are thinking in your mind subconsciously that you probably would fuck one of them. That's what I'm thinking.
By accident or on purpose?
Both of them. Both of them. Just imagine, like, okay, say you're in a work circumstance, right? Say you're working and you're just trying to work, just try to mind your business, and this is some big built attractive dude. Say this, I'm just speaking if this is something you like, I don't know. Just keep walking past you, right? No shirt on, shit like that. Now, is this by law technically indecent exposure? No. Is it presenting a distraction at work? Yes. So you're gonna have to put a shirt on because it's interfering with you and your work. I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna complain because I had to even tell the girl too. Like, it doesn't bother me. If it's up to me, I ain't saying nothing. I didn't explain to her why, because once I do that, then I'm liable. I
Right.
said, I don't care what you wear. Right? It doesn't bother me. I understand this is the way that you were born. Right? Not my fault. I get it. I said, but it's just the simple fact that people are complaining. I have to say something to you. Either you have to put a coat, right? We giving them shirts, right? You want to get the small or the medium. You want to do this, like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you doing that?
Give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Be right
Right.
back. 2 minutes.
Okay. I'm gonna finish the rest of the video while she's gone, y'all.
throughout Europe. At a time of great religious change, it played a key role in the success of the Protestant Reformation. The leader of the Reformation, Martin Luther, initially could only preach to a small number of people, but the printed word spread his message to thousands of people who came to have access to the printed pamphlets. Luther was not the religious of the Catholic Church, but he was the first to widely publish his new religious ideology. The modern world today would be a very different place without Gutenberg and his printing press. This technology made printing cheaper and more accessible than ever before. Today, the industry is already in the digital age, which has given rise to online printing companies and even home printers that allow anyone to design, print, and send printed materials, all quickly and efficiently.
Again, I find it interesting. Especially, I think that more people that are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade should definitely learn about this. I'm going to be telling them about it. I don't think that it's so much of a religious aspect. I mean, it's going to turn into it because, that's how the Bible was passed on. But at least you got to know where the shit comes from,
Right, right. And how it spreads so quickly and efficiently as the lie that it is. Because we all determined last week, this is all a lie. It's all a bullshit lie. 1,000 years just made up out of the clear blue sky.
And again, once we came on here today, I started realizing that, okay, yeah, this Dark Ages correlates with them not having that print press. Now all of a sudden you got this fucking, well, I didn't say this part, but all of a sudden you got this fucking print press and the Dark Ages are now over. So it's bullshit. I could take that as the Dark Ages being, when the Moors were in control. I'm not saying that that was a good situation or whatever, but to a certain extent, it was a paid service. If you think about it, if you really know the real situation, there were more paid mercenaries to go back to that same shit. Men trying to have somebody be Captain Save-A-Hole, but what you really was what really happened was you was getting them some dates while you were gone. No different than people, marrying somebody before they go to the military foolishly, being
Yes.
gone 2 years later and come back and there's a child, and you got to take care of it. Like I don't get that.
I don't get a lot of things. I really don't. It's probably why I keep to myself so much. I just I don't always understand social norms. I really don't. I really don't. I really don't.
Me neither. But again, we have to realize what they're dictated from, right? They're dictated from, the country we live in. They're dictated from culture. They're dictated from religion. They're dictated from a lot of different things. So I think my thing is starting to understand that more. Before we came online, that's why I was telling you. I talked to different people from different walks of life because I know now that my idea of social construct in the world is not true. It is based on being an American citizen, right? Um, I hate to keep referencing this, but you will not realize that until you leave. When you leave this country and go somewhere else, you will see that you have been brainwashed and ain't nobody thinking about your funky ass. Nobody's thinking about you. And living here, we are taught that,
We are
oh,
the end all be all. everybody want to be a.
We're taught that. We're taught that, and it's not true. We're also taught that everybody else in the world is poor and don't got nothing, right? And I had to learn that shit the hard way. I remember about 6, 7 years ago, I remember I said something, and I tried to clean it up, and I'll admit now that I was lying like a motherfucker. I remember I sat here and told this girl that lives in a different country. I'm not gonna say what country, what none of that shit. But I told her I was like, oh yeah, man, I'm just up here showing you things I got, blah 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 blah. Wow, I know that you're struggling. This that, and the third. She said, what the fuck do you mean I'm struggling? She said, what, like, just stop. Like, what the fuck do you mean I'm struggling? I said, oh, I didn't mean it like that. She's like, it sounded like you did. She's like, you don't know what I got and what I don't. I'm like, damn. Now, this is before I had stepped outside of well, I've been to Canada. That's the same thing, though. But this is before I left from the continental United States. So I thought after she said that I still knew best. I knew this, man. Listen, I'm up here living like a king. You in a third world country, bitch. Not knowing that I'm being held restricted to some fucking bills that she ain't got to worry about. So she could take her bill money and buy whatever the fuck she want. I ain't see it like that then, right? I'm thinking I'm winning. But now that when I tell people that have never really left here all like that, they're like, all right, man, we're going to go get a house. We're going to do this. Here. And I be looking and I'm like, man, I ain't doing that. Let me get some money. You stay here and pay these, but you do it. Because I know down the way, I can live like a king for $300 a month. See, you don't know that. And I ain't scared of these motherfuckers because I know that the guns is here. I know that now. You know what I'm saying? We watch TV and think in our mind that these people can live off of 35 cents a day and got a motherfucking AK-47. Explain to me. How do you think that? How do we think that these people are in war-torn countries, got choppers and everything? Listen, okay, imagine me in this country broke with an AK-47. That's not going to last long. That's going to last a day. First time you give it to me. You feel me? They don't got it. The shit costs the same amount there as it do here. So for you to think that the average person in these third world countries in Africa, Caribbean, or anything like that, you think they walk around with guns? No, the fuck they not, because they don't got them. They do here. And the ones they got there, they got from here. If you trace the history of that gun, it came from here. It's one of the ones that we threw away or got stole or something like that. So when you realize that, you just like, damn, I done been had this whole fucking time. It's just a hard thing to deal with. Israel's another situation. When you really figure that situation out and you know everything about it, you're going to be like, man, this shit fucking crazy. When I see people on black people, it's so irritating. I see black people on Facebook like, oh, the Bible says, see, this guy said this about Israel. Bitch, which time? My whole life, Israel has been fighting Iran, Iraq, Syria, Libya. The book ain't that long to write this history. What are we talking about?
But wait a minute. But then you tell them when It's Not Real was instated and became a country, and it's years, decades, centuries after the good book talks about this holy place. You're like, it still don't add up. Why do you believe in this? And like, no sooner did the butthole and It's Not Real take credit for retaliation that YouTube titles started changing to the written word of It's Not Real, and how this was all written and the prophecy is coming real. And it's like, no, you guys are making it real, and it was never a prophecy.
Never. Listen, just the president they got right now. I got this clip from the past 20 years. Him saying, making that bullshit about Iran and their nuclear program. Like, so what are we talking about? On top of the fact that, look up any one of their presidents of Israel. Look them up. They got a fake ass name. That's number one. His name ain't Ben Netanyahu. He made that up. He's a fucking. I ain't gonna say that. He's a white man. He
From
is a white.
Philadelphia. Well, educated in Philadelphia.
He's a white man. If you just listen to any person, well, not any person, any one of their presidents speak from the beginning of Israel to now, they speak better English than you do.
Right,
They
because they
speak
were all educated over here in the universities set up by the Caucasians here.
that me and you pay for.
All day, every day. Every damn pack of cigarettes I buy, I'd be mad. I'd be mad because that's the only place I'm still getting taxed to this day. Everything else, I ain't paying taxes on shit.
Exactly.
Only time they get me is when I go into their stores. And I try to avoid their stores. I try to avoid their stores, their Amazons, online shopping, all of that shit. Anything that puts taxes in the Corporation of America, I try to avoid with all my might.
It's unconstitutional. They made that up. They made that up. Like I was had a conversation with somebody yesterday, right, about this same thing about taxes, right? It's not. It's not in the Constitution. You don't have to pay taxes.
No.
They framed you.
Yep.
The first time you got a job, when you filled out that 1090, whatever the fuck it is, that W-4, whatever the fuck it is, right? When you clicked on it, you signed yourself up to pay taxes the rest of your life. You signed yourself up to go to federal prison if you don't do it. They also are saying that you're admitting you're walking into prison on your own free will and walking out, which we both know is a motherfucking lie. Federal prison? I gotta fight for my butthole? Oh, okay.
I'll never forget as a teen, getting my my first job and wondering what the hell is this 10 whatever it's called form. What is this? What am I supposed to do with this? What does it mean? And the people at the job going, yeah, it's now mind you, I'm only like 16, 17 years old. So I should have just put exempt on the paper. That's what they should have told me. But they didn't. They talked to me like I was a grown up, talking about, well, you have to claim yourself as a dependent. Da, 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 da. So I did it. And then I went home and I did a little research. I was right back in that office the very next day. Give me that. Give it back. Give it back. Give it back. Give it back. Give me a fresh one.
I wish my critical thinking skills was like how they are now because I could have possibly seen that. I have been done a disservice. I have been done a disservice, as most of Americans have, because of that fact, to get tricked into the situation. So that's more of what I said a little bit ago. If I ever get the opportunity, and I can, because it's not that hard. You just have to avoid being scammed, right? Because you have to realize that the American school system is probably in the 20th academically, right? So a lot of these places in these countries that we deem poor in third world countries, make no mistake, they're more educated than you. Make no mistake. Um, so it's not like I made up this move. I originated this. So there's other people that try that. There's a lot of people that get scammed. There's a lot of people that get robbed, get took for everything. So, if I can ever find the right connections, I'll never give up my citizenship because, that's my privilege. Um, but I see no reason to keep paying for what?
I get out of paying everything and anything I possibly can. And I do mean anything.
Me too.
I was mad when they started saying, "Oh yeah, you can't knock stuff off until it's been on there for 7 years." I was like, "Who can't? There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. There is a way. Who knew?" But if evidently you want something bad enough and do enough research, you will figure it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do that because the same conversation I was having, I keep referencing to yesterday. It turned into my thoughts about more about America. That America really is set up for you to start a business, right? And when you don't, you lose. America is the workers, slaves, business on top, and
Look
that's
at okay. look at what they do on the continent of Africa. They have taken our business setup, taught it to them in grade school. Um, they apply for university either up in Europe or over here in the Americas. They come over, and what are they doing as they setting up classes? They're getting a business license, their
Yep.
LLC, you know what I mean? The everything that you need to set it up, trying to get all the paperwork finished before they graduate in 4 years.
Yep.
Because if they do it right, they don't have to go back and they can bring the family over.
Right. That's if they want to stay,
Right,
because a lot of them, they don't have a desire to be here. They
right,
just want the money.
right. And I love those ones.
Me
I
too.
love those ones.
Me
Come
too.
here 4 years, learn what you need to learn. Take it back over there and turn your beautiful continent, country, wherever you came from, into America. Why you would want to do that, I don't know. But if you
Capitalist.
saw something over here for 4 years that you want to turn your country into, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself.
Right.
I love those ones. Do your 4 years and leave. It's the ones that want to stay. Bring the aunties, the uncles, the cousins. Get into politics. Now I have an issue with you. Now I got problems.
Not me. You know why?
Why?
Because those people, in most cases, their political ideology will turn into mine. And the reason why is because I don't care what country you come from, right? Unless we're talking about European countries. Second generation, you black. Period. You could say me no black or you want. You could say I'm not black, I'm Nigerian or you want. Your kids are not gonna say that. That's a proven fact. That's a proven fact that nobody can deny. Look at New York City. Look at New York City. Dig 2 generations back from anybody black from New York City. Do it. Do it. And watch what the fuck you see. Most times one. Most time one. But two, oh yeah. Their grandparents gonna say, "Oh yeah, man, I'm not, I could have
Most
been." They ain't.
most New Yorkers that I meet around about my same age, either plus or minus 10 years my own age. They start with, I'm from New York. But they always have a childhood story that started on an island.
Right, right. And if it's not that, like Biggie Smalls, do Busta Rhymes, do the list goes on to every one of them motherfuckers. If it's either the same story you just said, or it's their parents, and they black, so it don't make no difference. If you want to come here, you want to come here, and that's what you want to do. That's cool, especially if you're coming from third world countries, because I know that people from Germany, people from England, people from France, people from Australia, and is it Argentina, have no visa. They can bring their ass here whenever they want, right? Now, I also realize that every third world country in the world is black or brown. So I know that the reason why African Americans have stayed the same percentage of the population is that reason. I know it. And the reason why I know it is because we are too close in proximity to countries that produce black people, right? We're too close to it. We're too close to the Caribbean. But if you look at the numbers of who they are letting in versus any nation that I mentioned or European nations, it's no comparison. They're not letting them in purposely. They're deeming them third world countries. It's a form of racism.
Giving me more to think about. I feel a lot of rabbit holes coming this week.
Now, there are some people that come from a particular region, we'll just say South Asian, that may not turn into the same political ideology as me.
They
What
don't like us. They don't like us.
is
Ooh, they don't like us.
it's for some reasons. So before the British invaded, they already had what was called a caste system. It was not so much based on color.
Right.
It was based on social status because these
Right.
people, some of these people we're talking about, are blacker than any descendant from Africa that you've ever seen, including the South Sudanese. Some of them are darker than them. So it wasn't really about that. But whenever you bring the British, whenever you bring the Spanish, whenever you bring the Portuguese, they install an ideology based on religion, Italians too, and based on these 1400 times, these 1500 times, and things that have happened. They instill an ideology that white is right, right? Starting from the Moor shit, right? The closer you were to whiteness was the closer you were to Christianity, right? That's why they wear white. It's for a fucking reason. So it brainwashes them to teach them that white is right. If you look at Nollywood videos, Bollywood, excuse me, look at the actors. They bleached the shit out of their fucking skin. And in turn, what happened was it made the caste system change to put the darker ones at the end. The Abrahamic slave trade as well has something to do with this too, castrating them and bringing the slaves there, right? So now you have a system. The British is telling you white is right, black is wrong. I give them their respect because they fought off the religion. I give them that, right? But when that you have all those key elements that come into play along with other things, there it is. And they also give them a free pass to come here too, in a way, because they think that they're smarter than everybody else. I don't know why.
Ooh, ooh, especially intellect. Ooh, don't get me started. That was my biggest fight before I left the workforce. I really got tired of that mentality. Being told that those individuals from those regions were somehow smarter, better educated than myself simply because of the region that their people came from.
Mm-mm.
It used to drive me insane. What do you mean you're gonna give him my job? Like, and it wasn't always a him.
Right.
Their women displaced black women in the workforce quick, fast, and in a hurry. Uh, uh, the workforce, especially in media and uh, technology, media, technology, um, because they're women, while gorgeous, also have some brown to their skin, so they're not, so they're seen as more socially ambiguous. Does that make sense the way I worded it?
Mm-hmm.
Racially ambiguous. That's what I meant. They're seen as racially ambiguous, so
Mm-hmm.
they it's easier for them to get into our media, our technology, um, any kind of position where you work with the public. They're knocking black people out of the workforce in those spots simply because they are considered smarter
Right.
and racially ambiguous, just because they're told they're smarter and racially ambiguous here in the Americas.
Right. And then it backfires because a lot of some of them are very smart. I mean, just like some black people are very smart, right?
Yeah,
So
intelligence has nothing to do with race.
it has nothing. It has nothing to do with race whatsoever. Your brain is something that you have to actively use and put things in it, right? It's something you have to exercise. So most of the shit I'm saying, I've only known less than 5 years, right? So that means absolutely nothing, right? So they end up bringing people that are not qualified for their jobs, and they end up getting fucked in the long run. But what I think is they don't care because a lot of times they're ripping these people off anyway. If you look at how they're trying to do China right now, which I mean, you probably should have, if you were going to do this, what you're doing now with China, you probably should have did this 70 years ago, right? But you're still giving preferential treatment to products that are coming from India. India's coming up in the world. They're coming the fuck up in the world. And I'm not knocking them, right? Because clearly they outworking the United States. China been outworking the United States, right? So it is what it is. I just don't like, again, how you're giving preferential treatment to certain individuals, right? United States sold its soul to cheap labor, so it is what it is, you know.
So wait a minute. So we the slaves fought for freedom. They get freedom. But then the United States just keeps on shipping in free or cheap labor and
Yes,
filling up prisons for free or cheap labor. Something's not making sense. Where's the free and cheap labor coming from? Is it coming from the prisons or is it coming from immigration? Which one is it?
both of them. They encouraged them to come. Listen, we're getting
So
5G
then
internet.
why are we being born here and getting educations if we don't want to do it through the prison system or immigration? I'm confused.
You think I said I want to dip? So listen, it's no different, right? Okay, now they're installing 5G internet all around my neighborhood, all around the town, right? Okay, so who's digging these ditches and putting the cable wires in? Central Americans and Mexicans, right? So you can't say that they're taking the jobs. You can't say it. You can't say that you're trying to deport them. You can't say it. What you really are doing is directing slavery. You want to governmentally control cheap labor. Yes, black people are being exploited for free to cheap labor by the prison system. But on the outside of the prison system, y'all not qualified for these jobs. We don't want to pay you this shit, right? We're gonna bring somebody else from India that's smarter than you, so we think. Give them cheap labor, and get rid of you, right? That's how it is. It's no different than, okay, we're the richest nation in the world, right? Why don't we have free health coverage? Because black people will get it. Okay, we're the richest nation in the world, right? Why is education so high, right? Because in the 70s, once everybody started going to fucking school, black, they realized we got to put these people in debt. This is only for an elite group of people. And if you want to be an elite group of people, you're going to pay the rest of your life, right? It's a fucking scam. It is a fucking scam. The older I get, the more I realize that it's a fucking conspiracy. The United States is a conspiracy, right? We're probably the biggest colonial master still in the world, right? Right now, we bombed Iran for something that has nothing to do with us, right? Because we're colonial masters.
Weapons of mass destruction, nuclear facilities. There was three of them. There was three of them. This country that is just a big sand pile basically just had all this nuclear technology, and we finally had the guts and the president with enough balls to put bombs on top of nuclear facilities. That don't sound too smart.
It
That don't
doesn't.
sound too smart.
North Korea telling you we got nukes. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
They've been messing with America for how many decades now? We got nukes. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it?
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing. And the
Nothing.
reason why you're not gonna do nothing because they really do. They really do. And you know what the consequences is, right?
They
Now,
got nukes and submarines to bring them over here that we can't track. We don't know where none of their submarines is. None of them.
and it's not just that. They got a backing too. You won't invade because China gonna get on your ass.
Yep.
Right. So that's the only reason why you're not doing that.
Kind of sitting here going, you won't have no products. You won't have shit.
You won't have nothing. You
Go
invade
ahead.
there,
Fuck with
China
it.
gonna fuck you
Go
up.
ahead.
Right? They already don't like you for what you're doing in Taiwan anyway. They'll sell you shit, but that's it. So that's the only reason why. Right? Now, on the other hand, Iran don't got nobody. That's the only reason why you're doing that. Besides the obvious reasons, right? But that's the only reason why you're doing that, right? What's gonna happen if North Korea threaten Israel? I bet y'all don't do nothing. I bet y'all don't do shit. Even with your holy book, because you know what it is. You cannot beat China. And China is a secular country that don't give no fuck about your sky daddy. So it's fucked up. It's
Ain't
fucked up.
that amazing how they worried about any they not fucking with no country that they can't go to with their good book and be like, God wants us to have a conversation. God wants us to trade with you unfairly, whereas we get all the benefits as Americans and you get fucked over as whatever country you are. But it's all in the name of Sky Daddy.
Right. What the only thing the United States can do is put sanctions on the countries, and they have on Cuba and
And what
North
did
Korea.
Cuba do? So?
But look at Cuba though. Look, you seen it?
Nope.
Listen, all their buildings are collapsing in the fucking street. Everything is fucked up there, and the reason why is because that sanction. What it includes is you can't trade with them. If you trade with them in any way, we won't trade with you. So they don't have nothing. You should see their cars. They have cars from the 50s still. Because we used to be down there with hotels and shit. So the cars they have are still from then, right? They do have a very, very, very small, minute amount of like Toyotas and shit like that. I do not know how they obtain them because Japan's our little bitch too, right? So I don't know how they actually obtained them. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they probably got them from other Caribbean countries or somebody smuggled them in. I don't know. But if you look at the cars that are in fucking Cuba, they are 70, 80 years old. And it's for the reasons that I'm saying that nobody is allowed to trade with them or we're not going to trade with you. The reason why we won't invade them is because they're backed by Russia.
Right.
That's why. And if you look at a pack of Swisher Sweets, right, or any cigar product that you buy from the store, it says the Dominican Republic. The reason why it says the Dominican Republic is because they are who we are exploiting for cigars. It transferred from Cuba to the Dominican Republic because we used to get our shit from Cuba until the 40s and the 50s when Castro said, "You're using us. We don't like what you're doing." We took our business to the Dominican Republic. So it's just crazy and interesting to learn these things because once I learned that, I'm like, oh, wow.
I really never gave thought to Cuba, to be honest with you, except for the little time that some of their history crossed reference with Florida's history while I was studying that. But other than that, I never really gave Cuba a thought. I really have.
It used to be America's playground. It used to be loaded with casinos and things like that until they got tired of the United States using them for what I just said. And the United States didn't invade because they threatened to invade and they ran to Russia. And as a result, they put sanctions on them. So now that puts into context why people pretend like Cuban cigars or Cuban seed cigars are something fucking special. They are not. There's nothing special about them. The only thing significant about them and the only reason why they are expensive is because they come from a country that we're not supposed to do business with. That is it. It's nothing special about it.
I knew there couldn't be nothing special about it because I've been in cigar shops. Cigars is nice. And they ain't never came from no damn Cuba. And they ain't never cost me an arm and a leg. But they were nice.
Next time you go, right, look for you're going to see it. It's going to be crystal clear all day. Cuban seed, you're gonna be like, okay, so what's the difference between the island of Cuba and Hispaniola? Nothing. They're neighbors. So fucking what? Just because one is here and one's there, who cares? Why are you telling me that's Cuban seed? Because they're illegal. That's it. You can make the same thing here in Florida.
Right. Which they used to do. There was a lot of cigar rolling going on in Florida for a long time. I'm not exactly sure why it stopped, to be honest with you.
Both. But again, that's those are both products that we can outsource, especially down there. You can outsource from Caribbean countries for next to nothing. I learned something about reggae with the sugarcane shit. Um, Reggae, a lot of reggae was created because of the sugarcane industry, right? So what they would do, America being slave master again, is they would import people from Jamaica to cut sugarcane, right? What they would do is come here purposely to cut sugarcane, but they didn't care about the money. They only really wanted to come here to obtain the albums that we had. They would take them back to Jamaica and make a fucking killing. They would make a fucking killing because that would be the only way that you can actually get these things, right? Because you have to take in context, they are the ones who created the DJ standing there talking, saying all that dumb shit with them big ass speakers and shit, right? They created that. And it was created because they would outsource Jamaicans to go cut sugar cane, right? And they would charge quadruple and 8 times what they paid for the records because they didn't have it, right? So that kind of helped create reggae. And if you look at the early reggae songs, the reggae in its earliest forms, all we're talking about is people singing R&B songs. That's what they're doing, verbatim. And the reason why is because they're imitating the people that will come here to get the sugar cane and the R&B rhythm and blues singers that were in the early 1900s, and that's how reggae was created,
Do
which
you
is
know,
crazy.
to this day, I listen to reggae music, and I might have to hear that song every day for 2 years straight before one word becomes a word to me. Does that make sense the way I worded it?
Hmm.
I do not understand they're speaking English to me. I know it's English beyond a shadow of a doubt. Brain can't register it at all. Like if I watch something with the any kind of accent that's considered Jamaican, especially if it's really really heavy, I gotta read the words. Like I'm the one watching the music video with the
Right.
words going, oh, is that what I had no idea. No idea.
I understand them
I,
a lot better now, but I agree. A lot of times it is, but sometimes when they're talking, they're technically speaking a different language as well. A lot of times, because patois, though it is a form of English, it's still it's still different. It's still like they have where it's a different language. However you look at it, it's a different language. It's uh it's short for English for one thing, right? Okay, so like I got these cousins, right, that stay down south, right? Instead of them saying I'm about to go to work, they're like I go work, right? So with them, a lot of times once they break it down to you and tell you what they're saying is they're just shortening the words and putting it together, mixed with their own slang. Like you see how we got our own slang and don't make
right.
sense to nobody else. Okay, so if you got that mixed with Spanish involved with your English, because again, the Spanish brought them, right? Mixed with an African dialect, because a lot of them ran when they got there and ran up in the mountains and was up there hundreds of years before somebody even really realized that they was gone and shit like that. That makes it a whole different language, right? And Creole, all that means is two languages that y'all talking together to understand each other. So when you take all that in consideration for 500 years, it's going to be a little bit different, you know?
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm looking forward to traveling, but at the same time, I'm realizing I might not be ready.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Because look, they teach them regular English in school, so they know it now. Don't think they don't know it. Now, if they choose to talk to you in that, that's only like, okay, when I went down there, I used to be telling them like, stop, stop talking to me in patois, please, because I know that you know exactly what I'm saying, right? And I know that you know that I'm not from there. As soon as you open your mouth, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, they know. So, it's like sometimes they'll do it like to try to be funny, and then sometimes it would be irritating because after a while you'll know what they're saying, and then they'll try to start talking to you in the English that you speak, and it irritates you. You're like, stop, just talk, motherfucker. Like, but they have a lot of similarities to us. Like growing up, my mom told me that you couldn't sit in the chair, but this particular chair and grandma chair, because of chinches. Now I ain't know what the fuck that is. I ain't know what that was. She was telling me about when she was a kid about the chinches. So now I know what it is. In Spanish, bed bugs are chinches. Literally, that's the word. But it's also the old school slang word. Take in consideration who brought us here. Now, when you talk to the Jamaicans, right? Guess what they call them?
What?
Chinks, because it's their variation of what we're saying and what they're saying. They're putting their own shit on it, right? They say, okay, so you know how we'll be like this fucking dunce bat, or I mean, excuse me, this dingbat.
Yeah, think back.
They say dunce bat. Dunce, we say dunce anyway. It means you're stupid. Dunce
Right.
bat, right? So once you start understanding their slang and why they say things that they're saying and that they're shortening words, it'll become a lot easier to you. So
I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. There's another island I want to go to first, but eventually I'm gonna make it back to that island.
which one?
Because my people got kicked off. My people got kicked off the Jamaican island. My people got kicked off. We were personally kicked out by Nanny herself.
The thing I don't like about their language is this. So even though we speak in slang, us, 80% of the time, right? Our slang is predicated off of English words that we're just saying a different way that means something else, right? They write the same way they talk.
No.
Yes, they write the same fucking way that they talk. So when you look at this shit, you be like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. Like, look, I seen the Jehovah's Witness fucking pamphlet in patois. It was the dumbest shit I ever read. The dumbest shit I ever read. I'm like, what the? It's like talking to a fucking slave. You like the whole context of the story is not even in there. It's just breaking down to a fucking kindergartner's level. I'm just reading this shit like knowing what it's supposed to say because I know the verse from the Bible and comparing it to what it say and then saying it out loud so I can hear it. Right? Because when you say what you read, you realize that you sound just like them. And then when I say it, I'm like, that's the stupidest shit I've ever read in my life.
Right. Matter of fact, my speech pattern, I didn't notice it to correct it or not correct it until I started remember when we got cassette recorders so that we could
Mm-hmm.
they were portable? Well, I used those to make my notes or read my chapters for school when
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that. And when you play that in your ear at night to remember the notes, you start hearing your own speech patterns and you're like, oh, I gotta fix that. Or is that annoying to other people like it's annoying to me? That's the only reason I ever noticed. Other than that, I don't talk enough to hear myself to correct or give a shit.
Right. So Also, I don't want to like really say like their language. Yeah, I shouldn't have said it's stupid, but the way that, like I said, the way that it's put, it's not full detail, right? So, like I was saying, they shorten the words. Like I used to conversate with one of them. This is years ago. This is before I went down there, and it was kind of like the situation where I just was telling you. It would get annoying when she would try to talk to me in American English because I used to just be telling her like I know what the fuck you're talking about. Like stop. And if I don't, just let me ask you so I can tell you what part I don't get. But when she would talk to me about certain things, I still would be. I knew what she was saying, but the story I don't get. Like okay, she was telling me one time that some people, and I don't. This is where I'm lost at because I don't know who the fuck these people were. Was coming to do some work on her house. And what I was trying to ask her is, who are these people? Why are they doing this? And are they getting paid? Like, are you paying them? I still don't know because she just like the people that come do work. And so I'm asking her about it, and she getting frustrated with me because she think that I'm having a problem understanding what she's saying. But in a way, I'm not. I know what the fuck you saying. You're just not telling me what I'm asking you. So it's kind of like that. Like it's hard to get to the gist of the whole story.
We have that issue a lot in the house, so much, because I say, huh, because I didn't understand, like you were saying. Um, y- y- I I wanted them to repeat what they were trying to iterate. I didn't have a problem with their English at all. Like I understood everything you said. Is the story I'm questioning? Like,
Hmm.
huh, on the story. Repeat the story. Tell the story better. Don't worry about your English. I got that. I got that.
Right.
Tell the story better
Right.
because I'm
Just
not understanding the story.
right. Just explain it to me. Just talk to me. Right. Just keep going, and I'm gonna put the pieces together. And when I'm lost at the end, I'm like, well, what was his name or her
Right.
name? Right.
Was they red? Was they blue? Like what? Like
Hmm.
what happened in this section of the story? Because you skipped something in there.
Right. I got this friend. Her name's Francine. And until she told me that the part that it's just short for English, I was lost like a motherfucker. I used to be like, why the fuck do y'all do that? Like, what? She's like, it's just short. And she gave me an example. I'm like, okay, I got you now. Right. And then I realized we do the same thing. It's in a different way. It's just a different way. We say the same shit just in a different way. But yeah, as far as the Gutenberg Bible, again, I would say that every person that's a Christian, every person that's a believer, every black person in general, especially if you are a believer, I think that you should take a look at this information. There's nothing wrong with having knowledge to know the roots or the origins and these things. To me, uh, like I said earlier, it makes the book less valid, but that's just my opinion. But I'm glad that you came up with the title.
Well, I wasn't glad I came up with the title. I was just being curious about something, and I didn't feel like doing the research on it. So I knew you would make me actually listen to the story.
The first thing I noticed last night is when I typed in, I said the Gutenberg Bible. I just googled it, and just the print press came up. And the first thing it said is one of the most interesting and historic blah blah blah. I said, oh. Then once I read into it, now I see why. Because without that, we may have never even seen the Bible before. Truthfully,
What?
never seen it.
I was like, well, wait a minute, wait a minute. The first thing they thought to print was the Bible. And then they were like, yes, and other scholarly texts. Well, what other scholarly text was written? Because it doesn't seem to be making the history books, at least not in what I was using as a reference material.
Shakespeare. I want to bet. I bet you any motherfucker money it got something to do with William Shakespeare.
By the 16th century, says your literacy rates were climbing, especially in urban centers. The printing press helped accelerate trend by making cheap primers and teaching manuals widely available. What is a teaching manual? What did they consider? a teaching manual? Only the Bible?
Yes, just like okay, what's the first thing that we were taught to read? The Bible. What was the only thing we was allowed to read? The Bible. What are they implementing in classes now? The Bible. The Ten Commandments. It's a way of dumbing you down, right? The smarter you are, the more educated you are, the more you use your critical thinking skills, the more you know history, the more you understand science, the fuck science, the more you understand history, the less you will believe this shit. If you just know where it comes from, you know who wrote what, and you know the facts, this is a book of fiction. It's a book of fiction.
You know, the only reason I ever became interested in math is because I believed at the time when I made the decision that there were no lies in math. And then I found out that there was lies in math too. You know what? I was like, oh, all y'all just do is lie.
I think, well, the forms of math I know, um, the ones I've mastered, I don't think there's lies in it.
No,
Now,
no, you are correct. You are correct. The lies were found later in the larger applications. Does it make sense the way I worded it?
Pythagorean theorem, you talking about that?
Yes.
Yes, yes. I don't believe that's valid. And you know why I don't think it's valid? Because okay, so I'm gonna reach in the Christian manual. I'm gonna reach right into the Christian manual. I would have to say the formula for that is outside of time and fucking space. It has to be. I don't think that there's no definitive number that you can put on that, right? That's why, from my understanding, it's always been 3.4 blah 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 blah. And I think it will forever be that. And the reason why is because we're trying to measure something that's 3D, right? And I don't see
Yes.
how you can perfectly measure a circle. I don't see how you can do that.
The inside the circle, outside the circle, half the circle, a quarter of the circle, and will
Outside,
all four quarters match?
right? For outside, I don't see how you can do that.
But I ain't gonna lie though, when the young ladies did the Pythagorean theorem using trigonometry instead of geometry, I was like, thank you, thank you. Now that I understand, that makes sense. I can do that. Geometry, I got a big fat
Yeah,
fuck geometry.
I don't know. I don't know trigonometry. I never took it. Geometry, I would say, because that's what we're talking about. Pythagorean theorem is 100% geometry. Again, I'm going to go ahead and say it's not accurate. There's no way of making it 100%. It's impossible. What I will also say is that geometry is useful if you know how to use it. Like, okay, I can't remember the exact formula, but I could just get off right now and figure it out, right? Just Google. I know y'all can't see it because it's that direction, but there's probably about a 200-foot tree outside and it's across the street. I can use geometry to figure out roughly how tall it is. The equation is going to be off some inches, but it's still going to be right. And I can base it off of the size of that shadow and what time it is and how far I am from that tree. If I know those three things and not even so much of what time it is, I could probably take the time out of the matter, right? Even though that'll help. But with that equation right there, I could figure out roughly how tall that tree is, but it's not going to be accurate. It's not
And
going to be.
that's why I don't like geometry, because I can take trigonometry and I can have, and I only need one of those factors, either the distance, the height, or the hypotenuse. But anyway, I'm digressing. But the point is, I only need one in trig to find the other two factors. In geometry, it doesn't work that way, and you're getting a guesstimation,
Hmm.
a very close, damn near accurate guesstimation, but still a guesstimation.
Hmm.
And and people like me who can't do geometry, who flunked it horribly, um, like to stay in like to keep everything linear. We just look, everything in a straight line is the easiest thing to do when it comes to geometry. So let's everybody just stay in a straight line. We work in straight lines over here. Don't curve nothing because it starts to bother the math.
Yeah, listen, the curvature. I can't remember that. I can't remember even with the algebra formulations. I can't remember that. But I do know that geometry. You can guess now that we're talking about this and that I'm really thinking about it. I know it's off by somewhat. I don't see how archaeologists. No, not archaeologists. Wrong field. I don't see how. What are those people called? Architects and people that plan out houses and shit. I don't see how they do it.
Models and then scale. Because how it started before we had the math and the tools and all of that. You you made a play city or whatever it is you was going to build. You made a small version of it. And once you got all the pieces to work together and it seemed really, really sturdy to you, you were like, hey, now we can build this bigger because we made it this size. And we just got to make sure that when we put each piece together, like we did with the model, it meets these specifications. Now, they wasn't always right in the math when they took it from the model size to the full size. And some pieces got cut incorrectly, and it was too expensive to recut it. So you had to make adjustments. But they still do the same thing to this day. That's exactly how engineering still works to this day.
Exactly. Well, I'm about to get out of here. I'm kind of hungry. We've been over here on here about 2 hours. I want to thank you, NJ, again for stopping by. Well, not stopping by. You already said. I want to thank you again for coming on the show. Thank you again for coming up with the title. Thanks everybody for stopping by. I'll definitely be back Thursday with AAA Sports. I'll be back again on Sunday and probably sometime in between. What you got going on the rest of the day, NJ?
I have no idea because I haven't seen my family for the last 2 hours. So I have to go downstairs and find out. Other than that, you know me. Hammock, cigarette, smoke, good book, good story, something.
Same here. I'll probably go live on TikTok later, but I need to make me some food and make some runs. But thank
Right.
y'all
I gotta
again
go
for stuff.
find some.
Right,
Besides, I just wrote a really good story in the cards, so I'll probably be putting that somewhere later. Somewhere. I don't know where. I'll figure it out.
right. So thanks everybody again for stopping by. Good night.